Hi, welcome back to PC Builder. I'm Jason. 2023 is an amazing year to build a PC, but we've also seen some massive PC build fails. From bad CPU and GPU combos, to budget PCs burning all their money on the wrong parts, to terrible GPU choices. We've seen it all. Let's go through the worst but surprisingly common PC build fails of 2023 with my updated advice so you can avoid mistakes and build the best PC for you. If you get value out of the video, give it a like as it really helps out the channel, and of course subscribe, click that bell icon, that way you get notified when we release cool content. With that, let's jump into it. This video is sponsored by Micro Center, my favorite tech place on earth. Great news! Micro Center just opened its 26th US store, with Charlotte, North Carolina coming in early 2024. Micro Center has insane holiday savings right now, with great deals like this Ryzen 7600 for just $179, or this amazing i7 13700K bundle with Z790 motherboard and 32 gigabytes of fast DDR5 for just $449. Want to get into 3D printing? New in-store customers can get the Creality Ender 3 V2 for just $99. Check out the great deals using the link in the video description. We've got RVVE who says, Jason, I plan on creating a build for streaming games like Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Apex Legends, and Overwatch, and they want to do some video editing in DaVinci Resolve at 1080p. Current monitor's 144Hz, don't know if they should upgrade that as well since the GPU is a bit overkill, okay? Here's the build so far, $1,500 in the US. Let's see what you got. How does this keep happening? What am I talking about? I'm talking about another time capsule build. This is a Back to the Future build because it's stuck in the past and we got to get it back to the future into 2023. Let's start off. You have $1,444 is where you finished out. So yes, you finished under your budget. You have $56 left, but I'm looking at this build. We do not have $1,400 worth of performance. We don't even have $1,000 really of performance here. Let's just jump in. Let's first start off with a thing I do like about the build. I kind of like. You went with the RTX 4070. If you're going to go NVIDIA RTX 4000 series, you have limited options in my estimation because they're just not really worth it. They lack VRAM, but the one out there that I think might strike the right balance is the RTX 4070. 12 gigs, not a ton of VRAM, but it's more than 8 gigs. It's not terrible. $600, yeah, we wish this GPU were cheaper, but it's not terrible. It's just kind of not terrible all around. And for whatever reason, if you've convinced yourself that you have to have NVIDIA or you have to have it for like a professional application that will only use NVIDIA, this is probably the card to look at for about $600. You went with the MSI Ventus one. Now, the performance-wise, it performs almost identically to the RX 6800 XT, the 6800 XT, which you can get for about $100 cheaper, just know that. But here's where the build just kind of goes off the rails. Why do we have a Ryzen 5000 series CPU in a $1,500 build? Listen, at one point, the 5800, this would have made perfect sense 3 years ago in 2020. But 3 years later, technology has moved forward. The 5800X, honestly, generally is not worth buying. The 5700X is usually cheaper, has the same performance level. There's really no advantage to it. Doesn't give that much more performance really than even the 5600 in gaming. And if you want extra cores, go to the 7600. The 7600 almost beats it multi-threading and crushes it in gaming. So there's just really no reason here to go AM4 whatsoever. We either want to go Intel on a 13600K or higher, or Ryzen 7000 series CPU. Arctic Liquid Freezer 2, this is a phenomenal cooler, but it's $94, and I don't see why we're spending money on liquid cooling a CPU that absolutely does not really need it. And you can certainly do it. It would look nicer in the build. I think liquid coolers make the builds look more aesthetically pleasing. I don't mind spending money on aesthetics, but we got to get a better CPU first. And then we just kind of confused. So we went with kind of a higher end liquid cooler, which I don't necessarily mind, but we're pairing it with really a kind of trash tier, budget-ish motherboard. I say trash tier, I'm being a little hard on it. I've never liked the way that this one looks, the MSI Pro B550M. This is the VC version, which is the newer version. It's got, I believe it's Wi-Fi 6E on it instead of the Wi-Fi 5 on it, which the VDH had. It's a fine board if you're just trying to build a budget gaming PC, but we have $1,500 to spend. This is not the motherboard that we want to be ending up with at the end of our build. The RAM's fine, 32 gigs, it's 2 by 16 gigabytes. If we are gonna go this right here, especially with a GPU that we picked out, I would have liked to see DDR4 3600 CL16. Instead, you went with DDR4 3600 CL18, which is essentially the same speed as 3200 CL16. We are gonna have a new best RAM for gaming 2023 video coming very soon. We'll go back through all that, but you can check out our older video. We do explain the differences there in terms of cache latency and speed if you're just kind of struggling to understand why this is the same speed. Talking about back in time, this is an absolute relic, the Intel 660p. I honestly did not even know that they were still selling this thing. This drive has been around for freaking ever, for literally ever. I'm just wondering what's the oldest review on here? It's got to be like several years old. The 660p slower drive, it's not worth $58 for 1 terabyte. We'll get you a better drive, but this thing's going in the trash. I don't really understand why we're going hard drive space. You went 4 terabytes here. Again, we have $1,500 to spend. I would say get 2 terabytes of SSD space first before we go with this 1 terabyte, 4 terabyte hard drive thing. You can always add in a drive like this later. But I would say try out 2 terabytes of SSD space. You'll probably never want to go back to a hard drive, trust me. Another kind of just small error we made, Corsair 4000D Airflow, perfectly fine case. I keep knocking it though, $89, it's back to $89. This is where this case should really be. Only comes with 2 included fans, so you really need more fans to fill it out. So it ends up always being like $120-ish case, and you can get the RGB Airflow version now. Comes with 3 included RGB Corsair fans for about $30 more. So that's something I would definitely check out because we don't have enough fans. This EVGA Supernova 850 GT is a good power supply, 850 watts, but it's overpriced. Right now it's $129. I don't really know why that is. Maybe when you picked it, it was cheaper and it sold out or something like that. Again, good unit, just completely overpriced. And we don't need 850 watts. Probably get away with 750 in this build, and we can go with an A tier rated unit for like $100 instead. So for $1,444, this is just not $1,400 worth of performance. In my estimation, we can do so much better, and you deserve a PC that kicks some serious butt. I call this the $1,500 insane 1440p gaming and editing build because you're gonna get amazing performance. At 1440p, frankly, you could go 4K here, no problem whatsoever. Obviously, you definitely have to buy a new monitor for that. I finished out at $1,504.79. A second ago, that was $1,498. Just find $4.79. You will be okay. Let's start off with the GPU that I went with. I went with the Sapphire Pulse RX 7900 XT. Now, I can give you an NVIDIA alternative if you want to go NVIDIA, if you're just convinced NVIDIA is better off for you. But for $769, now these have come up a little bit in price. They have been more like $750, all the way down to like $720. Fingers crossed that they come back down. They're just temporarily out of stock on some of those other models right there. And it comes with Starfield Premium Edition. If you care at all about Starfield, here's a game. You can start streaming this one right away. Why do I like the 7900 XT? AV1 encoding is going to be awesome for your streams. It's going to be way, way better than H.264 and any of that other stuff. And the encoder on these AMD GPUs is really, really good, by the way, especially for AV1 encoding. And it's going to give you insane levels of performance. What kind of performance? Here's TechSpot's 15 game average. I believe this is their RTX 4060 Ti review. Data, I'll leave it linked down in the video description. You can see the 4070 there, 102 FPS is what you were looking at 1440p and a 15 game average, including a lot of titles that have ray tracing now turned on by default. Look at the 7900 XT, even with titles with ray tracing turned on by default, it beats the 4070 Ti, which is gonna be my alternative GPU. The thing is, I just don't love that you had to spend about $800 to get a GPU with only 12 gigs of VRAM. I love the 7900 XT because you get 20 gigs of VRAM in addition to the performance. Now, I know one of the things people are often concerned about when buying an AMD GPU, especially like you, if you want to do video editing, how's it going to perform in these things that NVIDIA has generally had the upper hand on? So this is the eTechnics review for the RTX 4070. You can see this is basically where it comes out for DaVinci Resolve, which is the program that you're going to use. This is the overall score, higher is better. Look at that, the 7900 XT beats the 4070 Ti in DaVinci Resolve. And additionally, AMD just announced a whole bunch of improvements in terms of the Adobe Creative Suite as well. I haven't seen them tested yet, so there's still first party numbers, but that 7900 XT is gonna perform very, very well. All right, for the rest of the build, we're gonna bring you back to the future with a Ryzen 5 7600. I don't think you need any more than 6 cores. Remember, these are 6 modern high-end cores here. And this is the non-X version for $219, but you can get either this or the X version. This is probably going to make you happier a little bit on the temps, so you don't have to tinker with anything. And for $219, it's going to crush that 5800X in gaming and roughly tighten all the multi-threaded performance. For the cooler, we're just going to go something simple. I went with a Deepcool AG400 Black ARGB cooler. I noticed you didn't have a lot of RGB in your build. In fact, I didn't think you have any. So if you don't want this one, go for the AK400 instead, black one. It's the same price, although this one's got a promo code on it right now. Or you can just turn the RGB off. That's another way to go. But this is an insanely performative cooler for a very low price. For the motherboard, I decided to go MSI Pro B650 M-A Wi-Fi. It might just be on sale right now because normally this board's about $170. And honestly, it's not usually worth it at that price point. But $140 definitely worth it. And I know you wanted MSI, so I got you that same motherboard, just the B650 version. In my estimation, it looks more like a modern motherboard too. MSI did a good job with this board. Although it does have just kind of entry-level features, that's where we're at. That's fine, absolutely fine. If this one sells out for some reason, check out the ASRock B650 Pro RS Wi-Fi. It usually sells for about $140. And it's got one additional M.2 slot to it. I do like that board a little bit better, but if you want MSI, this is a good one to go. Our RAM, we're just gonna go ahead and get one of the cheaper kits, G.Skill Flare. This one is an Expo kit. Remember, no difference between Expo and XMP. DDR5 5600 CL30 right now for $90, but go 5600 CL32 or faster. For the drive, I just got to the Silicon Power 2TB NVMe, and I've talked this drive up to death. Basically, any of the budget level NVMEs out there, the Team Group MP33, some of the Western Digital drives, all those are great options here. And we got 2 TB for you, and you still have an M.2 slot where you can add storage in the future. For the case, I just decided to get you something cheaper that we can do all in one. I went with a Thermaltake S200. The good news is at this price point, there's actually a lot of options. I just went with this one because it's on sale right now. It comes with 3 included ARGB fans. It's got that kind of bigger airflow version to it. $88 with a $15 rebate, so you basically get it for $73. I do see though, however, you will need an additional fan. So I went out and got you an insanely cool kit, Thermalright. This is 3 120mm ARGB fans, super high rated. These things are super quiet too. For only $13 for 3 fans, like what is going on over here? Great kit of fans. Remember, everything's linked down in the video description. Check that out. And then finally for the PSU, we went with the Corsair RM750E, a unit I continue to recommend, 750 watts. This is ATX 3.0. It's A tier rated on the PSU Cultist list. And it's only $99 either here over at Newegg or even Amazon. It's just an absolutely sensational PSU. So for $1,504, we brought you back to the future with a CPU, and we got you one of those latest graphics cards in the Sapphire Pulse Radeon RX 7900 XT. 20 gigs of VRAM, 20 gigs of VRAM, and completely crushes all the other cards that we were looking at, including in DaVinci, where you want to do some video editing. We right-sized your case, got you enough fans, kind of right-sized the rest of the build. So I hope you feel like your build is boosted. Future Jason here. What would I do differently? Take advantage of the massive deals going on right now. Massive deals. Let's check this out. $1,504. So basically the same budget that we just had, and we're going to get way more performance. What has changed? Let's go through that. Number one, we're going to get the Ryzen 5 7600 for $199 over at Amazon. That's a nice little savings for us overall, able to go ahead and upgrade several components. The other thing is GPU prices have continued to come down, and you can pick up something like the Zotac Gaming Trinity OC RTX 4070 Ti right now for $729. Now, over the Black Friday period, this got down to $714, but again, pretty good pricing. And if you say, Jason, I want to wait for the Super Series cards, you certainly could, or you could always just go ahead and pick up a Radeon RX 7900 XT that has 20 gigs of VRAM instead of the Pulse 312 here for about the same price. Where are we going to use that money? We're going to upgrade our RAM. We're going to go DDR5 6000 CL30. The good news is that 6000 CL30 seems to be where all the RAM vendors are basically kind of coalescing in terms of their production right now, and the prices have come down. Now, the Team Group kit I often recommend, out of stock right now, but the XPG Lancer RGB, amazing kit for just $95. We're also going to upgrade our motherboard from that poor little DS3H, which is a fine motherboard, but it's super budget, to something way more premium like the MSI Mag B650 Tomahawk Wi-Fi. It's got 3 M.2 slots, so we pick up an extra M.2 slot, has upgraded audio to the ALC 4080, just Look at this board. It's just way, way better for $195. Not a bad pickup right now at Amazon. We're also going to upgrade our SSD space. We're going to go from 1 terabyte to 2 terabytes, and we're going to go from Gen 3 to Gen 4. Not as important as the 2 terabyte part of it. And this is a DRAM drive. You can pick up insane deals like this right now because SSD prices continue to go down. But I am hearing that they are possibly going to go back up in 2024 as production changes. So I might grab a deal like this for $89. Overall, the case gets a little cheaper. We swapped in a like-for-like power supply that's a better deal. And for $1,500, we're getting massively more performance. So I hope this build feels a lot more boosted. Next, we've got Blue Gaming Minecraft, and Blue is a channel member. 2 thumbs up. Thank you for being a channel member. You can join today right there. You get cool stickers, you get cool emojis, fun live stream stuff once a month. So check out the join button below. But Blue says, Jason, I'm looking to buy a PC soon, and my budget is $2,500. They've got 2 4K monitors. They play modded Minecraft at super RAM and CPU usage. They also do content creation, want to be able to basically play any AAA title at 120 FPS 4K. I will say right off the bat, some games, no matter what, even with a 4090, you would not get 120 FPS at 4K with 2 monitors. So I want to set our expectations, but we can, of course, get you an amazing system for $2,500. Let's see what you got. Okay, stop. Stop. I don't want you to put this build together the way you have it kitted out. I normally can sit here and say, oh, if you put this together, it'll be fine. Don't feel like I can 100% say that, and I don't want to give it a seal of approval. But good news is, I think we can fix it. You got about 98% of the way there, and then the 2% gap you missed, we kind of fell into a hole on. So let's fix it. And the good news is, at $2,336, that's where you finished out, we've got, what is that, about $164 to fix the build. I think we can get it done and get you the performance that you deserve. Let's talk about the thing I really like in this build first, which is I love you that you went with the 7900 XTX 24 gig GPU. Totally underrated GPU in my opinion, especially now that they're closer to $900 than $1,000. This is the XFX Speedster Merc that you're going with. Good unit for $960. There's also like the Power Color Hellhound. There's a number of really good units. And not only does it come with 24 gigs of VRAM, it comes with Starfield, $100 value. 2 thumbs up, premium edition there. Let's talk a little bit about the performance because I want us to be realistic. You said you want 120 FPS 4K, 2 screens, all titles. Look at this chart. This is the TechSpot RTX 4070 review. They include a number of titles in here I think that you'd like to play. You can go through the individual benchmarks. I'll leave them linked down in the video description. Check that out. 112 FPS. I'm not saying that makes the 7900 XTX terrible because it's the second highest freaking GPU on this chart. The only thing that beats it is a GPU that costs almost twice as much, the RTX 4090, and you don't have that kind of budget. I just want you to kind of get some reality in here. Now, I will say they use high and ultra settings wherever possible, and on titles that enable ray tracing by default, they leave it on. So I would disable ray tracing and I might turn things from ultra down to high basically, and get the performance that you're looking for on those multiple monitors. Now let's talk about the big challenges for this build because there are many, but I feel like they all flow back to one single part, and that is the i9 13900KF. Couple things about this. First of all, the 14900KF or 14900K is just about to come out in September. It'll be announced probably about, I think it's September 21st is Intel's innovation event. That's when they always announce the next gen of CPU. So just stay tuned for that. I would not rush out to buy this. I think that's also why you're seeing this really good price on it, $526. They're trying to get it out the door before the 14900K. Now, it's not going to be as big of a jump between 13th and 14th gen as it was between 12th and 13th, which was actually really big. In fact, it surprised me it was so big. But this is a refresh as opposed to a new architecture. Okay, all that being said, the problem with the CPU, too much power, too much cooling required. It needs super fast DDR5 RAM in order to get the maximum out of it versus its rising competitors. Let's go through each of those and see how we did. For the cooling, the Enermac Liquimax 3 360 ARGB, Jason, 360 millimeter. Yeah, but it's not a super high performance. This is a budget tier cooler. I would use this on a 13600K on any of the Ryzen CPUs. For a 13900K, I don't want to see anything other than a super well-tested, high-performance liquid cooler on it. Let's just go there. unless you know how to undervolt and you feel comfortable doing that, I don't want to get you into if you don't know what you're doing. I want more cooling. Now, $75, great deal on this cooler, 2 thumbs up, but not for the 1300K. On the motherboard, I don't know why ASUS did this, but they did not put BIOS flashback on their Tough Gaming Z690 or many of their Z690 boards. They put it on all their cheap end B650, but for some reason on their higher end Intel Z690 boards, they couldn't bother. I just don't get it. Great board, no BIOS flashback. You're just basically gambling. Could be that you get a board, works fine out of the box. Could be you get a board that you can't update the BIOS on. So I would skip it. Let's jump to your PSU next. Look, by my calculations, you need 1100 watts. And while you went with a good unit, the Intermax Revolution DF2, this is the ATX 3.0 unit, it's only 1050 units. And I don't want to be too much of a stickler, but I feel like I need to be a stickler here. We have super power hungry components. We are going to see transient power spikes. Yes, ATX 3.0 is supposed to handle those power spikes better. So maybe in the future, I will revise down my multiplier in terms of the wattage that I think you need, but I don't feel comfortable enough. I want to see these PSUs work like that for at least a year, for 2 years. I don't want to recommend this to you and then at this wattage, which I feel like is not enough. And then 3 weeks later, a Gamers Nexus comes out with the truth about ATX 3.0 power supplies. So let's go ahead and get you a unit with the proper wattage, which is going to cost quite a bit more money. I like this unit for 1000 watt rated stuff. It's a great price. It's a great unit, but not for this build. RAM, I love DDR5 6000 CL30. This is a great team group kit, 32 gigs, RGB, $95. RAM is getting so cheap. DDR5 just keeps coming down to the point where I feel like every week I have to revise my DDR5 recommendations because the prices just keep falling. But for these CPUs, if you want to get the most out of them, the Intel ones, you really need DDR5 7200 CL34s, I believe the XMP kit that we're looking for. It's going to cost you about $160-ish, although I haven't checked in a week, so maybe it's a little cheaper. But again, this is a great kit for Ryzen, not as much for like super fast for Intel. I like the drive SN850X, but remember, at 2 terabytes, the price per terabyte is much lower than if you jump up to a single 4 terabyte drive. I would get two 2 terabyte drives instead. It'll save you a lot of money and give you the same performance. For the case, the Antec DF700 Flux, 2 thumbs up. Great ARGB case. I really love it. $95. I can't wait to see your build in it. So overall, for $2,336, we've just missed the mark in a couple of critical areas. We got 98% of the way there, but that last 2% is killing us, and we can fix it. We can get you the build that you deserve. Okay, I'm joined by Mr. Bear, who decided he absolutely has to have Snuggles right this second, and he's got super sharp claws. We'll do this with a little bit of pain. And honestly, this was actually really easy to fix. So simple to fix. I called it the This Was Easy 4K build. And look at this. I finished it $2,222. That's right. Actually cheaper than you were going to, and it's going to give you insane levels of performance. It's virtually identical to your build. Why? I made a simple switch. I went with the Ryzen 7800X 3D. Right now, you can get this on sale for $385. Anyway, listen, I don't expect this deal to be there in whenever this video goes live. It's possible it will. They've been doing a couple of flash sales on like the 7800X 3D, but this is going to give you insane levels of performance. The only testing I can find in Minecraft with all the mods and stuff showed that at least with the 5800X 3D, it really preferred V cache, all that extra cache over just pure cores. So I went ahead and went with the 7800X 3D. I was initially thinking maybe we'll give you a 7950X 3D, maybe we'll go 13700K and we'll just get like more cooling, but that would just ended up being so much money. Simply swapping out the CPU like alleviates all of our problems pretty much, and it's gonna give probably more performance in games like Minecraft, where again, it wants that super high cache over something like, are you gonna walk in front? Over something like just tons and tons more cores. So the Ryzen 7800X 3D, 2 thumbs up right there. Again, on super sale right now to the point where I actually just posted it to the channel as well because I thought, oh my gosh, look how cheap this thing is. The other change I made is I got you the ASUS TUF board you were looking for, the ASUS TUF Gaming B650 Plus Wi-Fi. This is just the AM5 version, so you're gonna drop your Ryzen 7800X 3D in here. If you want, you could even spend the extra money on like a ROG Strix board if you really want one of those. If you're like super into ASUS parts, I totally understand. You can go that direction instead. This is a pretty good motherboard. I believe it's got ALC 1200 audio on it. Got pretty good rear panel connectivity, and it has BIOS flashback on it. ASUS did not make that mistake again. $199, so actually not even that much more than that older Z690 board. And actually, I was going through it here again. Mr. Babe jumped in and reminded me that I was going to go ahead and divide up that 4 terabyte drive into two 2 terabyte drives, and you can see the impact. So rather than being $300 for 4 terabytes, it's $240 for 4 terabytes as long as we divide it up. And that's just the way it is right now. Maybe at some point 4 terabyte drives will become the better price to performance option. It used to be 1 terabyte was the sweet spot. It's really kind of rapidly moved to 2 terabytes being the sweet spot. But right now I would pick this up instead, and it's going to save us $50. So we actually came down to $2,162. Otherwise, I stayed with the same build because the RAM's great, DDR5 6000 CL30, especially with the new AGESA out that will allow you to easily clock up the RAM. I loved the case, loved the GPU, power supply, totally sufficient. All we had to do was switch the CPU and the motherboard, and we did our job. You're going to get insane levels of performance at 4K, just like we showed you, just about 120 FPS in all your titles, and you're not going to have to deal with super overheated CPU cooling. You're not going to have to deal with, oh my gosh, I've run out of power in my black screen, and you're not going to have to think about trying to clock up stupidly high memory. So I hope you feel like your build is boosted. Future Jason here. What would I do differently on this one? Honestly, same thing. Just take advantage of these insane deals going on right now. You can get the Ryzen 7 7800X3D for just $360. 2 thumbs up there. That's one of the things that we're going to do in order to kind of cut the overall cost of our build. And the other good news is GPU prices are down. You can pick up a 7900 XTX right now for $909. During Black Friday, it was $889, but that deal is completely gone. So this is the next best one. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and swap out the ASUS TUF board. It's a good board. However, it's ALC 1200 audio. I want something with upgraded audio. This has ALC 4080 on it. That's the MSI MPG B650 Edge Wi-Fi. And essentially those motherboards are the same price right now. So we're just going to swap those in like for like. The other thing we're going to do is massively, and I mean massively, upgrade the amount of storage on this thing. Right now, you can take advantage of deals on like the Team Group MP34, 4 terabytes for $171. That's insane. That's like $42 per terabyte. You can't even find that if you just buy 1 or 2 terabyte drives. The price for 4 terabytes is insanely good right now. And we're going to get 2 of these. So we're going to double the amount of storage on this thing from 4 terabytes up to 8 total terabytes. That's great for our content creation. The other thing I wanted to do was just get a higher PSU in terms of a tier list on the PSU cultist list. I'm going to go with an A tier rated unit right now. Just get advantage of a deal. This is the MSI MPG A1000G. It's PCIe 5.0, ATX 3.0, and for the cutout shroud in the case, this side thing looks amazing. Absolutely amazing. I love this PSU. $144 right now is a huge steal. So with some other discounts here and there, swapping out our RAM kit to one that's currently available, the A-Data Lancer kit for $96, we finished almost the same price point, $2,233, and we've massively increased our performance, mostly through upgrading our storage overall, and just get everything else at a cheaper price. Remember, everything is linked down in the video description, and if you got value out of this video, give it a like because it makes a huge difference to the channel, and of course, subscribe. Click that bell icon. That way you get notified when we release cool content. Hey, speaking of cool content, check out these t-shirts down in the video description. We just got them in. And if you're looking for amazing 1440p gaming build, check out this video right here. We go through 3 amazing builds starting at just $700. And we'll catch you on the next one.